All right. Good morning, guys. Quick sound check. What's going through? All right. How's everybody doing this morning? How are we feeling? What's up, Joe? I don't know if Osborne's on or not. He kind of jacked up his he kind of jacked himself up on a ski slope. So thank you, Joe. You're feeling good until insurance called you need a new roof. They should cover that, right? Was it hail damage? I got a couple buddies that own roofing companies, and that's a lot. That's a big portion of their work. Yeah, 30%. That's not terrible. I mean, I guess it's better than nothing. Oh, sweet. All right, let's jump in and get started. By the way, Lucid is doing a quick flash sale here on 40% off on those Lucid Flex and Pro accounts, 25 and 50Ks. Plus, they're giving away 20 grand in cash today, apparently. They just released that. They hit 20,000 people in their Discord. So they're dropping 20 grand in cash in giveaways and 40% off. So if you need an account for the day. All right, let's take a look at what we got here. I was watching markets a little bit last night, so I kind of already have my game plan in place. And I talked about it in the Discord there. We were chatting back and forth. And so at 10:15, I said, even with an impressive rally back, we would still have these lows down here. So ideally, we don't gap too far away from 606.75. So we're about 60 points away from that 606.75s here now in the NASDAQ. And the thing we're looking at is we have these lows all the way down here at 383s. That the question becomes is, do we need to go test those or not? And yes and no, potentially, right? I mean, if we do decide to hold 606s, then we could obviously rally. Same thing here in the S&Ps. If we can hold 6840, 650s, then we can decide from there, if we decide to hold it, then we can rally. So my initial game plan here, we didn't get quite as far down in the Russell or the Dow. So we've got a little bit more strength coming out of those two here at the moment. So my initial kind of thoughts are that we'll pull back, see if we can't hold this 606.75s in NASDAQ. And at the same time, I'm also then open to the idea that maybe we start looking for Dow longs up over 224s. So given the rally back in there and the strength in which it's showing, because at the moment we do have S&Ps down 0.32%, NASDAQ down 0.56%, Russell down 0.12%, and the Dow is actually green. It's actually up 0.13% here. So given those things, I think that is the way in which we should be positioned and looking for the day. And with that being said, I just want to make sure I have the Dow added here into a order window. Yep. Put the Dow in there. So, excuse me. So yeah, that's my initial thoughts here. See if we can't get the NASDAQ to pull back and then look for strength in addition to that with the Dow. So I'm going to go ahead and get all of that queued up. And boom, should be good to go there. All right. And then in gold, damn, up over 4272.80s is where I get interested to the long side in that. Ideally, we can start to see that relatively quickly here, and we can push up through that and then start to look to do something from there. Would be my game plan. Silver here, I think, just goes 65s wherever. It doesn't really have to go. It can go pretty much anywhere. So that's my thinking there. You Damn, that was loud. You said you like the Dow too? What's up, Nate? Here we go. There's the 224s traded there just to the tick. And NASDAQ pulling back here. Let's see if we can trade 606s there. There it is, a little dip through 606s so far. I'm going to be patient. Again, that idea that we go down to overnight lows is still something I'm kind of wrestling with as to whether or not we need to do that. I do, however, like the Dow. Like on continuations, I think the Dow is fine. How much of a pullback do we get off 224s here becomes the question. And ideally, we can look for longs up over 224s, like on a pullback, which gives us room to 435s, which is about 200 points, and then up to 528s, which would be about 300 points there. So ideally, that's where we're looking to potentially hold that to if it does want to go. NASDAQ maybe going to try and hold on to 606s here for a second. Dow looks great. We just need a pullback now. A tough long in there, just straight through the level and all that. Hey, look, sweet. My little automation worked. Got Apex 90% off. So my target's in here. Ideally, we can get entries somewhere around 48, 224s. Let's call it 48, 174s. And targets are all the way up here. 48, 528s. It's a 6-to-1 risk-reward ratio. We might not see that pullback, though. That's going to be the only unfortunate thing, is that the Dow just runs away from here. Yeah, 435 is in the Dow. Like I said, ideally we get this pullback here, this first initial push through. We got another minute and change here. We'll get a 5-minute close above and then see if we can't get a pullback from that. And then look to do something with it. That would be my ideal scenario there. AMD, Nvidia getting smacked here. And gold making a nice push. Yeah, the NASDAQ overnight action looks really kind of crazy. It's like a 450 point range in the overnight session for the NASDAQ. And again, that's the one thing here. It's like, yes, the Dow's strong. And yes, it would be nice to be long it from 224s because we'd already have, 60, 70 points in it here or whatever. But at the same time, NASDAQ is just slicing right through 606s. And it did last night. I mean, it went 200 points beneath it in like a very short amount of time. The Russell here is going to be new all-time highs, though. So it's like, yes, I would love to have a position in the Dow, in the Russell, something here. We just need an entry. No, I didn't do that. I'm saying it would have been nice to take it through the level here. But again, with the way the NASDAQ's moving, like that's a really tough trade, I think. There is the idea for an aggressive NASDAQ short right here off these 606s. If you think NASDAQ's going to fail and go lower. I'm much more interested in the Dow and Russell long, but at this point, they're kind of running away from us that I don't know if we'll get an entry. Or if we do, it's going to have to be a really tight, like 5-minute at some point. I still got gold moving. Silver continuing to push there. Let's take a look at bonds. Not bad. Bonds rallying back today some. Gold's about to push this 42.72s. S&P's new highs, NASDAQ coming back up through that 606s now. And that low is 595s. I don't necessarily have the I don't have the balls to think that's the low either. This is probably the short on NASDAQ. Stops over 630s. 383s down there is 220 odd points away. It's also not my favorite thing ever, but we're either going to dance right here around 606s, and you can take a short attempt, you can take a long attempt, assuming we're going to hold, and one way or the other will be right. The question is, which one of those two directions is it? I'm kind of leaning a little bit more towards the downside in the NASDAQ here at the moment. I'm just not willing to put that risk on here, given the move in the Russell and the Dow. I don't like when markets go in opposite directions from one another. It's not typically like my favorite thing to see. And Dow's going to be closing in on that 435 here relatively quickly. S&P's kind of acting like they want to go higher here. Well, Nas coming off opening print there, holding 68, 68s, while NASDAQ kind of looks like it wants to go through those lows. We see a little NASDAQ divergence. And Dow's just a straight ripper. Anybody take that somehow? Did you just get aggressive and take the break over 224s? I would love that if somebody did. It's like 30 points to the upside here for S&Ps. If someone says yes, they're buying dinner. That's what it is. That is our sugar daddy for the night. Or girl. 427's traded there for the Dow. I'm going to try a little small piece of S&Ps here. I kind of like that little divergence now in NASDAQ. It came down, got the new lows, nothing else did. I liked it a little bit better off of 68, so I got a little bit of a late entry on that. And I could be wrong really, really fast. But if NASDAQ holds this, gets back over 606s, then I think we should be fine. Yeah, Dow got level to level. It could certainly start to chill for a minute. I don't know how much of a pullback it's going to get, though. I think S&P's kind of already made the divergence here when it didn't get the new lows just now and NASDAQ did. The question is whether NASDAQ can actually do anything here and get back over 606s. S&Ps I like just because it's about a 5-point stop. 71's down to 66, give or take a tick or two there. And the target's 68.99, so it's like 30 points away. So it's a 5-to-1, 6-to-1 risk reward ratio. So I like that. It just would need to start pushing ideally up through like 77s here would give us a good little jump start on the position. Then that automation is, I set it on a timer. It should only be every 20 minutes, but S&P's coming down there. 67s. NASDAQ new low only market. If this immediately reverses and gets back up through like 73s, that'd be ideal. NASDAQ back up through 606s and we'll be in business there. We could look for an entry. Gold traded right off that 72.80s here now. The S&Ps are trying. And again, it's a 5 to 6 risk reward ratio. Like I can't discount this with a divergence as well on top of that. So it's like it might fail from here, but at the same time, it's also a really good risk reward. And it kind of does look like it wants to fail, so all right, I flattened it. I might have got shimmied right there. I might have gotten shimmied. We'll see though. NASDAQ came down with a pretty strong vengeance on that rejection so far off 606s. And that divergence needed to get above it relatively quickly, and it hasn't done so just yet. That's the thing. Either S&Ps hold here off of 68's opening print with that divergence, or we have the room to drop to 68.46s. So it's like, I don't necessarily want to stand in front of that. Like I'll take my loss and get out the way. NASDAQ making a nice move lower though. Problem with the NASDAQ move, opens the door for 191 quarters, 25 191 quarters here. And the Dow now kind of coming off this 435 area. The only thing I see trying to like fight back on the day is Meta. The NASDAQ idea of shorts off 606s here working out nicely. That's about 100 points right here. And this is why we wanted to get out of the way of the S&Ps. Like if that was going to stop us and not work, then it was a pretty solid like 22-point drop in the works. It's going to make longs tough though. I think who's going to want a long with NASDAQ down 305 points on the day with another 300 plus points to potentially go here. Gold got smacked right off that 72s as well. Traded 72.80s almost to the tick there and then got absolutely smacked. Silver kind of same thing, poked up through overnight highs. Short NASDAQ from 620. Nice, dude. You got it after we got this little spike to 630s right there. The little 2-minute. Nice. Good work, dude. I like that. I know, I did mention it. Sweep the overnight. I mean, if we go for overnight lows, then we probably go to 191s. Again, the dilemma I have, and not to like sound like a broken record, is like, yeah, we've got good strength in the Russell and the Dow. Yeah, we're pulling back. That's okay. That's normal unless we completely give up the whole move. S&Ps here still had some room to get that 6846, which is the same level as the 606 for NASDAQ, right? So we're still much stronger in that sense on the S&Ps than we are in the NASDAQ. And the Dow at some point will probably try and hold and at least make an attempt of a rally. The question is, do we want to long that or not? Which is maybe here. There's a 2-minute in this area right here. It's about a 40-point stop. S&P's front running that 4650 there now. And the Russell still not able to either get lows or opening print, which I think we should be patient for that. If you're short NASDAQ, you probably got about 130, 140 points in it here. It's probably a good place to either start looking for a trail or you got to give it some room and you're trying to get it down to 380s and then 190s. It kind of depends on what your target objectives were in there. S&P's in the 4650s there. We're getting smoked through it. Oh, do we short that off there? Get aggressive with it. By the way, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and give me a thumbs up on the video. Much appreciated. I'm also trying to test out something new, so we'll see if it works. So if you're not a subscriber, click the button. I don't know if it'll show up on my end or not, but we'll find out. This would be the aggressive short here in the S&Ps. Small little push under 4650s there. Retested it just now and trying to continue to push lower. Overnight lows are like 17. So technically, it's like 30 points away. I'm going to struggle with shorts today if that's going to be the direction, which is going to be unfortunate. Just because I already mentioned a nice little trade in the Nasdaq there that I did not take, and we're holding fairly well in the Dow. So I'm partially inclined to want to long the Dow again. It's just tough after that move back down. It still hasn't made new lows though. S&Ps and Nasdaq are a little bit too far down at this point for me to, I mean, unless we get a rally and some sort of sell setup, etc., and maybe that gets timed with a Dow divergence. If we can get a rally here and head up towards 528s, maybe that's something we look to do. Gold got a hard push off that 72s there now, about 13, 14 points. Russell here sitting at opening print. Nasdaq getting smoked. That's about 200 points on the Nasdaq now. to the downside from that 606 entry up there. That one hurts a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. That one hurts a little bit. I even wrote it in the brain dump last night. I said there's a lot of room lower if we lose this level. 606.75s, 25 191 quarters could be in the cards. And we are trying for it. We are trying for it, that's for sure. S&P's new lows there. NASDAQ new lows. You short NASDAQ? If so, then yes, it is probably awesome for you. I'm happy for you. But you're still buying dinner, so. NASDAQ's got that 383. It's just right below here, that overnight low. Like I said, I think we might try and see a pop here in the Dow to get back up either towards 435s or into 528s here, which would be kind of nice to go ahead and get that over with. And if and when that happens, we get a divergence from there and can establish a, hopefully, ideally, a new sell setup in NASDAQ or S&Ps, then I'm open to the idea of a short in there, even though we should already be short from 606s. There's nothing I can do about that. A little bit of a reprieve bounce from here would be nice before we take out those lows. At least give us the opportunity to do something with it from there. Gold sold off further than I would have liked for it to as well. Hold on one second. All right. S&P's trying to hold this 4650s here now. Again, I'm kind of waiting to see if we can get that pop out of the Dow and potential new highs in there for divergence. If we're looking for shorts, if we manage to hold this area here for the S&Ps, which would essentially also be the same area for SPY, 682.88. This is the level from the video last night. If we do look to hold that and actually get up over opening print, then that same idea we had this morning for longs in there could potentially be back on the table. We're kind of be open to that idea potentially. Yeah, I was mute. I was on the phone for a minute. I shouldn't be muted now though. All right, sweet. It's a pretty decent rally back there so far out of NASDAQ. Imagine we don't get those overnight lows, just front run it to be a dick. I can see NASDAQ doing that. There's still about 200 points here for this Dow to go, which realistically, if we rally another 200 points from here, we're only up 1% on the day. So like there is a possibility, there is a world where Dow goes to like 48,700s today or something crazy, right? Especially if the S&Ps start pushing up through this opening print and NASDAQ gets back over 606s. We got about 20 minutes there. I wouldn't. NASDAQ back over 606s. That wouldn't actually be terrible. I'm muted again. I'm not muted. I shouldn't be muted. No worries. S&P's 68, 68s. I think if we're going to look for longs, again, we're going to be in the weird spot here where Dow might get new highs first, and then we have the potential for that divergence and kind of all the things to shake out there. But I think if we're going to wait for longs, then we got to look for NASDAQ up over 606s. I'm conflicted on that at the moment. I know it sounds like I'm kind of going back and forth here in a couple different ideas, but I just want to see a little bit added confirmation at the moment across the board, which we don't necessarily have at the moment. But I do think S&P's coming off this 4650s with a pretty decent bounce so far. And I mean, we're doing it with like relatively low ticks at the moment. Like we're at 420s. I didn't even make that number up. We were literally 427s right now. I think that's a pretty impressive looking little feat there. And Dow looks like it wants to push through here and make that move into 528s. And like I said, we could go another 350 points from here. Gold's trying to rally back towards that 72s now. I like the idea of I mean, here's the thing. NASDAQ's down 237 points on the day. I mean, realistically, there's room to 25,900s. Like if we can get back over 606s and then we can find an entry, from a long perspective, we have 300 points to move. Like we had a good 220 points or so to the downside, which we basically did. We were 10 points shy of hitting that. Now at this point, if we get back over 606s, and essentially this move that we just saw in the S&Ps basically erases half that move. If NASDAQ can kind of play ball in the same fashion, we could see this thing turn green on the day and push through 25,900s, which would, I mean, I would enjoy that. Especially if we can get an entry. That's the key piece at the moment that we would be looking for. We got about 15 minutes to go here, and it would look even better. I'm not necessarily interested in taking S&Ps like right here off 68.50s or 68s opening print, because I would like to see a little bit more out of the NASDAQ there, but it's a good first start. Hopefully someone took it. The Dow's rejecting that 435 so far, but we didn't make new highs in there, so there's no divergence. So I still think it's good. You had 41.75 marked. Of course you did, Joe. Of course you did. S&P is pushing back over. Opening print there. Lows on that pullback are 62.50s. It's a little further than I would like it to be. And I think I'm still going to wait for NASDAQ to get over 606s. But if you like aggressive longs, they would be here in the S&Ps. I'm going to see if we can't retest 68s one more time. It's tough to buy this after that move up from 46.50s. I'm going to try it really tiny here. Keeping it tight just shortly, just 67s, about a 3-point stop. Not full size. Room to 68.99s on this still. What's up, Snipe? NASDAQ pushing. See if we can't. We got 9 minutes and change. See if we can't get over those 606s. We got a little S&P position running. It's up about 1R here now. Every 3 points there. See if we can't get to. It'll be about 10 Rs. It's not full size, but it will definitely do the trick if we get there. And Dow now trying to break through. Nice push in S&Ps there. All right, so I'll have a good one, bro. Nasdaq is pushing up through this 606 here. S&P is getting a nice push up through that high a day. It's the first market to get new highs on the day here, and we got about another 20 points to go in there. Oh, I kind of want to take some profits. Like, does it just keep going? Does it just do that? I don't know. We got the divergence with S&Ps being only market to get new highs, but we got Nasdaq trying to get back over 606s. I think we just hold it for the moonshot. At this point, we've got a 3-point stop. We really shouldn't retest opening print now at 68.68. There should be about a 10-point drop here. And the idea is that we could potentially get to 69.44.50s, which is about 60 points away for the S&Ps if we get through 68.99s. So if we do that, there's 60 points here. That's $3,000 per contract. I'm trying to justify whether the risk reward is worth it. I think it is. I think it is. We'll see if Dow can push up through these 476s now. We traded 475s. I feel like my voice is gonna crack like I'm a freaking teenager. S&P's new highs. Shut them down, open up shop, singing. Oh. This will be Nasdaq trying to pull back to get those 606s. I want to take profits, but at the same time, the risk reward that we go up through and go to 69.44s, I just think is too good. And like we've already kind of shaken everybody with the push through lows there. We got back down to yesterday's lows here from a regular trading hour standpoint. I think we hold it. I'm okay if the profits go back to zero at this point, honestly. I want to take the profits, but at the same time, it's like, and these are just mental like battles in my head. It's like shit, we just got 12 points on a 3-point stop. It's not bad, but if we go 60 more points, like, it's really good. We got Dow about to pop these 528s now. And like I said, that could go, realistically, the Dow's up 400 and, oddly enough, almost 420 points right here. And that seems to be the number. I don't know about you guys, but I'm seeing that number all over the place here today on the Impala. So we're pushing up through those 528s. It's like, why can't this go another 150 to 300 points, right? So I kind of want to do nothing. Like, at the end of the day, I kind of want to just do absolutely nothing right here. And just let this do its thing. Son's at home, crying all alone on the bedroom floor and is hungry. Feeding is to sleep with a man for a little bit of money. His dad is gone. We're smoking rock now, in and out of lockdown. I ain't got a job now. But for me, it's what I call life. Russell still hasn't made new highs yet. Dow could realistically pull back about 100 points here to 435s. S&Ps, we don't really have anything here. I'm going to look like an absolute idiot if I don't take anything and we pull back and fail, right, on this divergence now, and NASDAQ rejects off 606s again. But at the same time, if we go all the way to targets, I'm going to look like an absolute genius. So the question is, which one do I think is most likely to occur and the best from a risk management standpoint here? And if S&Ps pull back to opening print, then I'm basically right back to even. What to do, what to do, what to do, what to do. Moonshine still. It is pretty much the daily struggle. S&Ps, we got about 8 points in them right here. If we pull back to opening print, we're back to even. Do we let it come back 2-3 R's here to try and capture 60 more points, which would be like 30 R's? I think so. I mean, I think so. I think we give it the room. Dow making new highs here now. Again, I kind of think NASDAQ tries to, well, let me see here. I could have had a little better of a close there. The highs 84s for S&Ps. I think we do it. I think we do it. Ticks didn't really get super excited there. High tick reading of the day, 687s. That push just now got us to not even 600s here. VIX is trending lower. Gold now trying to do a little something here, pushing up through 72.80s. Can the S&Ps go level to level? 4650s to 6899s is the question. Or is NASDAQ going to pull us back down today? Which level? Which one you want us to retest? Back down to 4650s? Or are you talking NASDAQ off 606s for a short? Oh, 435s? I don't know that we do. For the sake of S&Ps, I would love to see it just stay right here around 528s. Again, the Russell and the NASDAQ are the two that are just not there yet at the moment. I guess we probably could have hedged and taken a NASDAQ short there off 606s when we failed it. That was probably a better idea. I wouldn't have been upset by that. We have 50, 60 points in that, or sorry, 40, 50 points in that at the moment. Stop on that wasn't terrible. And then if S&Ps were to stop, then we had NASDAQ to run to the downside. If NASDAQ was to stop, we'd still have S&Ps to run to the upside, but it is what it is at the moment. I think we let S&Ps try and hold here and do its thing. If I was long off 4650s down there in S&Ps, I would still honestly be looking to do the same thing here. It's essentially we'd have a 100+ point range, give or take, on the day, right? 68 4650s up to 69 4450s. And if we can get a pivot in here, that pullback low is 71s. If we can push up through these 85s now, we can essentially put a break-even trail in there. And then we can just walk away and see what happens here on the day. It either ends up being a hero or a zero type of situation, and I'm fine with either. So if we were to put this into here, entry price is 68, 69, 75s. Stop loss is 68, 65, 75s. Sorry, 66, 75s. And 69, 44, 50s is our target. That's the trade in which we took. It's like 24 to 1, 25 to 1. I don't know if it works. Mid stepped away. I don't know if it works, but that's the trade in which I'm working on here. I get 10 years, so just give me beers till they get here. 42, 77, 80s just broke in gold. What was that? Was that overnight highs just now? Yeah, it looks like it was. I marked those last night. Nice move in gold there now, pushing highs. You son of a bitch. Gold and silver got some room to run today. I don't know where gold actually goes, but it's got a lot of room here. $43.30s maybe. Another 50 points. Gold's up already 50 points on the day. 1.37%. I wish Russell kind of got a little shimmy under the 69.10s. Traded 69.50s there. And I stepped away. All right. S&Ps, you need to go to your home. Which is 68.99.75s. And then your second home is 69.44.50s. Imagine we stay contained inside this range on the day. We don't actually break out between 46.50s or 99.75s. We just stay wrapped inside of this 50 point plus range. Yeah. I'm waiting for NASDAQ to find itself and get back up over opening print. Like, that's the thing in which, if we can see that happen on the day, that's when we really kind of unlock the next move, I think, here overall. And this pullback off 606s is not what that needs. Stay on the side of that camera. Oh wait, this is fucking, what's his name? Yeah. How we feeling? What's the vibe checks? It's been an interesting little week so far. Which one? The current idea for a short here off 606s or the first one? It's all your fault, Joe. It's all your fault. Yeah, it happens, Nick. It's like one of the most unfortunate things. So I feel that I've been there. This one in the NASDAQ. Yeah, it's down about 100 points. 90 couple points right here. Hmm. Does S&Ps hold off of opening print or not? Now the question is, if I take this thing off down here at like 67, 66s, down around the planned stop loss, and we reverse and go back through highs, and I'm gonna look like an idiot down here. These are the mental hurdles to get through at the moment. And closed S&Ps there. Took the stop on it. I was risking the open profits in a little bit to see if we could make the move that I was looking for on the day here. Unable to make it happen though. I still think there's a good chance for it, but I don't know what the next entry would be here. Kind of unfortunate. We pull back, take out this 6250s there. The problem is we're under opening print now, which is not ideal. We did ultimately set up that NASDAQ divergence. Well, now what? Gold's running without us now, up over those 72s. I just didn't like that entry. Little 5-minute 1, 2, 3 right there. That's a mistake on my part for sure. Silver and gold have been insane movers. I have this massive bucket of change that I know for a fact there's got to be a bunch of old silver quarters and dimes and nickels and stuff in there. I just don't want to take the time to go sift through it to find the silver ones. It's based on year. It's based on year and it's based on weight. So you can actually, if you have a little like small scale, like a kitchen scale, or like your dope scale from back in the day, as long as you can measure grams, then you're good to go. Russell's trying to hold there for a minute. This Dow acting like it still wants to do something here. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if the Dow runs another like 200-300 points on the day. We've been kind of talking about that. Front run that 435s on this pullback here. S&Ps are right back to opening print here. Nasdaq's still the one though that just can't quite figure itself out. If Nasdaq wasn't so weak today, I think we'd see a better rally here out of S&Ps, Russell, and Dow. Dow obviously is kind of doing its own thing. It's been fine, but let's see where Nasdaq pulls back to. If you look across the board in there, it's not a pretty looking long. I think the other three indices want to rally so bad that at some point we're going to pull Nasdaq back with us. S&P is getting a nice little pop there now. What is that? Oh, that's Dow making new highs on the day. Of course. Of course you are, Dow. Yeah, Dow front ran. Not too terribly surprised. I would like another entry in the S&Ps. If we can pull back to opening print here again. Then I would like longs in there again for the same idea on that trade. Oh, crackling and popping over here. Getting old. Big downturn. I'd like to see NASDAQ retest like 490s when S&P's trades opening print again. If we could see that pullback, then I'm down to put longs back on. Son of a biscuit. A little exhaustion kind of wick there. What is this? Bad. So sad, so sad. Sad, so sad. NASDAQ traded 505s there. I think we can see a little bit more pullback in that. I don't know, that bottoming tail is kind of impressive here. It's just a 50-point wide 2-minute bar there. 505s up to 555s for NASDAQ. Like I said, I'd like to see S&Ps here trade opening print again and then give us something to work with from there. I'd be open to longs. Part of me wants to take it and just give it the wider stop, but at the same time, we're also kind of in the middle of that overall move, and it's like we've already traded 4650s. It would make sense we go trade 68.99s, but like we're not there yet and haven't been able to do it. So do we wait for tomorrow if we don't get it today is the question. And keep an eye on that potential here. It's starting to fade a little bit though. The idea that we'll retest that open. We got a 1 tick front run a minute ago. There we go. All right, Christian. Have a good one, bro. NASDAQ didn't quite get that full move down here. Tough to long this off opening print, but this is where if we hold, then we can make that push to 68.99s now. Risk reward's a little bit skewed now. I think we wait for just a little bit lower here in NASDAQ yet. Like I said, I kind of want to see it trade like 490s. Somewhere kind of like right down here. Yeah, I'm open to it. I'm open to it one more time at least to see if we can't hold opening print and try and push up to 99.75s. I could be wrong. I mean, I think there's a higher probability that we're just kind of done on the day. But if we do at least hold the opening print for S&Ps, I think there's a shot. And I kind of like the NASDAQ potential from here. It's not like my favorite thing in the world, but at the end of the day, S&P's testing opening print and trying to reject now. We would want to see a little bit lower yet on NASDAQ and then get back over opening print on S&Ps if we're going to do anything. We just traded 494.50s there now for NASDAQ. Dow is still super strong. Do we look at the Russell maybe? There's that 494 there for NASDAQ. That low is 491. I'm going to try NASDAQ small here. It's an aggressive, way more aggressive than normal type of trade for me. Trying to essentially buy the end of what could be the downtrend on the day. And we might end up getting a little shaken, little skirt on it and take it off early, but she moves a lot. It's like a 10-point risk here for a legitimate 400-point target. So I'm trying to like, I'm trying to keep my head even keel on this. It stops under those 491s. It's kind of, not to use that word, but it's kind of a crazy risk reward entry here. There's a topping tail there on a 2-minute, bottoming tail on a 5. Again, not my favorite trade, but the risk reward is almost insane. And I kind of want to close it for even, but Dow's about to make new highs here. 618s, current print 605s there. NASDAQ, if we don't start getting back up over like 515s here relatively quickly, it's not going to look, that's not going to look good. Like I said, I kind of want to take it off, but not every day we get that type of risk reward. All right, I closed it. Darn it. We took the shot there. Like I said, it had really, really good risk reward ratio. And we kept it within risk tolerances there. I feel like I might have gotten shaken out. And what do we trade on those lows? 482s. Yeah. Trying to anticipate the higher low there. Trying to anticipate the higher low overall on 15-minute, 5-minute, and a little 2-minute entry there. So definitely a high potential failure rate, but we set it up almost perfect there. And if we got tripped up, that's going to be super unfortunate. We might call it a day there. A couple little small shots on stops. Not the greatest. High day in here, 68, 84, 75s. So 68, 85s would get us new highs. I'm just going to set some alerts for that. Russell or Dow were the longs. Just couldn't find the entry. There was that clean 5-minute down there in the Dow when we got the down in through here when we got the divergence on S&Ps and everything, but 300 plus points ago, give or take. Yeah, I mean, I still think there's a viable play here for S&Ps if we can hold 68's opening print. We just don't have it in the NASDAQ yet. And maybe that's it. But I don't want to keep like taking a maybe that's it kind of shot here with NASDAQ. It's like now this becomes like a 20-point stop. Yeah, granted, if it works, it's a massive 400-point target for us to get all the way back up to 25,900s. And I do think there is a shot that it does it. It's just a matter of how many times do we really want to take that attempt, you know? We can always look at it if and when we get back over opening print for kind of a quote-unquote safer entry there. But this is essentially right back to our original entry right around 25,500s there. Do you guys see like the idea behind this trade? The idea being the strength out of the Russell and the Dow, which is about to make new highs. S&P's holding opening print, and then NASDAQ ends up holding down here and gets kind of drugged back to the upside. Gold still continuing to make that push. Dow did get new highs there. Again, we're probably better off looking at Russell or Dow for longs, but at some point we'll probably get a new high and a divergence that essentially fails and takes us lower. We're up like 425 points from pre-market in the Dow from where we were talking about that being a long on the day. Just straight rip up through 224s. We were printing like 589s, or sorry, not 589s, 189s in pre-market there on the Dow when we were talking about that. I personally think NASDAQ found a low right there. NASDAQ just popped over 22 quarters there. That was that little prior pivot high. If you're going to trade NASDAQ today, you got to give it the room. That's going to be the only thing. And it's a counter trend type of trade. Like you're looking for this daily to potentially fail, which at the moment, the daily is failing the rally from yesterday. That's the tough part, is like it's right in this area, and it gives, again, it gives a lot of room for movement, obviously, but at the same time, it has a high failure rate because it is counter to that trend. S&Ps and NASDAQ just stuck right in this area still. We had an opportunity for good profits today too, which is the unfortunate part. RTY has a little bit of like a 1, 2, 3 daily kind of look going on. If it doesn't move today, a break through that tomorrow would actually be pretty decent. If market does rally back today, though, I think it moves. S&Ps really aren't down bad. I mean, we're down 24 points here. Like that's not anything special. Maybe NASDAQ drops 100 points and go gets those 383s. I don't know. I don't think it's the greatest of action overall. It's a pretty harsh 5-minute reversal bar there now out of the S&Ps. I had the opportunity for some nice profits today. Didn't take them, looking for the bigger move. Yeah, the long's not going to work here. NASDAQ had that little shot. I mean, that was the S&Ps needed to hold that opening print there and like 65s, basically 64.50s. Where did silver end up going to? Damn, 64. S&P's quick rally back there to opening print now. It's kind of a mess now. Kind of a mess. S&P is rejecting opening print now. The NASDAQ weakness is, I think, too much on the day, unfortunately. Darn NASDAQ. S&P's back to opening print now. My viewer thing is stuck. I don't know if Russell breaks out or not today. But if it was going to, it's probably somewhere in and around here. Yeah, Russell kind of looks like it. Nasdaq, interesting little action down here now with the change on time. 456 quarters on that low. 455.50s on prior lows. Russell looking better though. I still think S&Ps get to 68.99s on the day. I just think we've been waiting for the Nasdaq to be able to actually make that happen. And that really doesn't happen until back over 606s and probably opening print in there. And ticks are pushing here pretty decent. This is a 560 ticks. High tick on the day is 687. So if that can hold true, I took the small attempt for NASDAQ down there around 494s to see if we were going to hold. We obviously needed more, which is fine, because the next entry, which is kind of what I'm waiting for to see how this shapes up, would be back over opening print 606 area there. And I mean, we have like there's still 300 points worth of room from 600s to 900s that I'm interested in. Nice breakout in the Russell there. Otherwise, I would have left already. Like if I didn't think that that was still a potential on the day. It's getting later and later, which is obviously not the greatest of things. I mean, Nasdaq's definitely trying to end the downtrend here. Like I said, I'm not pushing the buttons on Nasdaq till we get back over 606 to opening print area. S&P is starting to move now. Hold on, I gotta make a quick phone call. And like I said, I'm gonna stick around just a little bit to see if we can't get over that 606, over that opening print for Nasdaq, because I do think there's a lot of potential in there. And that's really the only reason I'm still here. But I'm gonna make a quick phone call and then we'll sort it out, see what we can get done. All right. S&P's new high there. Russell getting a really nice break. Dow still pushing there. 48,700s. That's now up like 500 points from the pre-market session when we were talking about that, which is kind of crazy. I got to run here for a few minutes. I got to go to DMV, which is not what I want to be doing at the moment, but nonetheless, it is what it is. Entered short at 695s, exited at 392s. Nice. You traded pre-market then, 695s. It's a good exit down there at 392s though. I got to give you that. Nice. Good work. Previous day lows, that was like 528. Damn, gold. Gold with a big move. Today's the day that got away from me. That's just, it is what it is. Today is the day that shoulda, coulda, would have been a really, really nice day. And it just got away from me, unfortunately. I mean, Dow moving 500 points. Kind of hurts a little bit. Kind of hurts a little bit. It has been. I was looking for a really nice move to try and break that base hit type of deal, but it just doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Yeah, I feel that, ZV. Yeah, there haven't been like many full moves to actually capture, which is kind of the obnoxious part about it. That high now is 86.50s for S&Ps. All right, I gotta run. I'll be back. Unfortunately, here in a bit. What a freaking gold move. That one hurts. That one hurts, I'll be honest. It had a really little clean little 2-minute buy there, 5-minute 1, 2, 3 off the 72.80s. That's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. What is it now? 70 points here? $70 points. Sorry, 40 points. It's about 35 points or so now. S&P's coming right back down too. All right, I gotta roll. I'll be back in just a little bit here. We'll see whether we get anything to do. Like I said, I'm waiting for NASDAQ to get over 606's opening print, all that stuff up there, but it doesn't look like that's probably going to be the case. So, unfortunately, interesting market move there, though. Coming right back down. NASDAQ going to take us lower, it looks like. So, all right, I'll check back in a little bit. Appreciate you guys as always. And I wish I could test this new feature, but for whatever reason, it's not doing what I want it to do. So, I don't know. We'll see. All right, guys. Appreciate you. I'll check back in a little bit.